the late window game. And I didn't like it.
See,
I didn't like
I guess it doesn't matter as much now.
Because it's a break in the action. I don't want a break in the action. I want football all the way through.
Well, there still may be because it's 4:30, remember?
Yeah.
Eastern time. But I remember.
Yeah, but you got the halftime show. The halftime show is like a Super Bowl show.
Oh, yeah.
For all of the games. So, and I'm going to enjoy the halftime shows. I mean, Post Malone for the Cowboys. How awesome is that?
Pretty good.
The story about Post Malone and why he's a Cowboys fan. His dad worked cleaning up the old Texas Stadium. So there would be nights where he literally slept in the stadium. And now he's one of the biggest stars in music on the planet. And he's always repping for the Dallas Cowboys. And now he has an opportunity to perform. That's pretty cool.
That's an amazing full circle moment. Talk about something to be grateful for.
People think he's good, right? Like people.
Post Malone?
No, I think he's good. I'm saying the masses understand his talent, right?
Who doesn't like Post Malone?
He's one of the biggest stars in the world.
I agree.
He's like one of the most least offensive music stars that we have.
Did you ever
Incredibly
hear him do Nirvana? During the pandemic, he did like an at-home concert of just playing all Nirvana. It's insane how talented he is.
He's very talented.
So, anyway, 3 games: Green Bay, Detroit, Kansas City, Dallas, Cincinnati, and Baltimore. And the storyline with Cincinnati and Baltimore is interesting because we're going to see a player that is one of the best players in the sport play for the first time in a while, and that player is Joe Burrow. We assume he's activated. He's going to play. Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, had this to say about his expectations for his starting quarterback.
Difficult to predict. You know, it has been several months, and so again, I'm not going to make any predictions on what it looks like. But again, he's put himself in great shape. It was good to see him through the progression that we've had over the last several weeks. I think it was a fair progression for him. To do the 7-on-7, do the 11-on-11, get your mind right, try to get ready to play in a game. And then ultimately we'll wait and see where it lands. But I think it's been a really good progression that's been helpful for him and done everything he can and we can to get him ready to go play in a game.
So finish this sentence for me about Joe Burrow. It is fair to expect Joe Burrow tonight at the Ravens to be
awesome. I think Joe Burrow is going to be awesome. There's no world that exists where he works like a demon to get back. An injury that everybody projected had a 3-month timeline to return minimum. For this dude to come back inside of that window and for the Bengals season to be at the brink, he's only coming back for one reason. Because he believes, and there are players in that locker room and there are people in that organization that believe that they can win out, run the table, and make a run at the AFC North title. This is a kitchen sink game for the Cincinnati Bengals. Make no mistake about it. And even though head-to-head Joe Burrow doesn't have a great record against Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow balls when he plays the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. He averages 300 passing yards per game when he plays the Ravens, 21 touchdowns to 4 picks. Pretty good. 67 completion percentage. Pretty good. So I would be shocked if Joe Burrow doesn't play well. I expect that this Bengals offense is going to put up 30, which should make this matchup really, really interesting because the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, that offensive line, they're still not right. So this is going to be a fascinating matchup, and I would be surprised if Joe Burrow steps in and doesn't play well.
I also expect him to play well because that's what he does. Joe Burrow is that guy. He is an excellent, some may even say elite quarterback. And the results with him and without him for the Bengals are vastly different. When Joe Burrow is not on the field since 2020, the Bengals are 7-16. When he plays, 40-31. They are a different team with him. He's going to motivate these guys in a different way. But this is going to be a really, really good matchup. You know Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense is going to put up points. But this Ravens defense is not the defense that we saw earlier in the year when they were in that 1-5 stretch. At that time, they were allowing about 32 points per game. Since then, they've won 5 straight games, and that defense is only allowing 13.4 points per game. So the defense has improved as the Ravens have gone on to win games. So this isn't going to be what we expected early on in the season with this bad Ravens defense and an opportunity for Joe Burrow to feast, even though he puts up good numbers against the Ravens. I'm very interested to see which one of those units is going to get the best of each other.
Is he the least interesting quarterback when it comes to health tonight, though? I mean, is Lamar more interesting when it comes to the health? Because Joe Burrow has had to work back from injury, gets cleared by a doctor, and is ready to play, right? I don't know what's going on with Lamar. He sits out of practices every single week, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, it feels like, in terms of injuries. He's had so many. This is not one lingering one. It's like, here's the next one, here's the next one. And to his credit, I know he missed the games, but like he's fighting through everything he could possibly fight through here.
Isn't there even more reason, though, for Joe Burrow and the Bengals to want to go for it? If you think Lamar is not Lamar, MVP Lamar, or he's compromised in any way?
Sure, I think they're too far out, in my opinion. I know CC obviously thinks differently on this. I think like it's gone, it's done. And if I'm the Ravens, I am just going to tell Derrick Henry, you are a first ballot Hall of Fame player. We are going to act like that, and we're going to give you the ball over and over and over again to beat up a bad defense. Lamar Jackson had this to say about his health yesterday.
I don't think about that. We win, so that's what it's all about. I can't control the injury, things like that happen. Unfortunately, it's just happening for the wrong time, I believe, but we winning, so that's all my focus on.
So who do you guys have more confidence in moving forward then, Burrow or Lamar? They're both banged up. One's cleared to play, one's playing through it is what it feels like right now.
I'll take the unknown over what I got in Lamar Jackson. Because if Lamar Jackson can't be Lamar, then I don't know where that leaves the Baltimore Ravens offense. The offensive line has been awful. The run game has been inconsistent, to say the least. If you can't rely on Lamar to be dynamic in the way that we've seen in past years, if he can't be the quarterback that can extend the down, have those huge second reaction plays that lead to explosives both in the running game and the passing, I don't know. I don't know. If Lamar Jackson is not a threat to run the football in the zone read concepts, if he's not a threat to run the football when all of his receivers are covered and there's nothing there in the passing game, then it completely changes the makeup of the Baltimore Ravens offense and how opponents decide they're going to attack it. All of a sudden now, you're not as afraid to start, stacking the box. All of a sudden now, you're not as afraid to play man coverage. That's the one thing that you worry about when you're facing Lamar. If you major in man coverage and your DBs are sticky, Lamar can always pull the ball down and run, and there are a whole lot of people on your defense that are running with the back turn. Well, guess what? I'm not worried about that if Lamar is hesitant to take off and run. So, again, I get the Cincinnati Bengals defense is low-hanging fruit. They're an easy target because of how bad they've been year over year. But I do think it's going to be an interesting matchup when the Ravens have the ball to see how they're going to try to attack this with a health-compromised Lamar.
It's very interesting what you said about the offensive line not being good and the running backs and the running game being uneven. I don't know how that works. You would know better than all of us, obviously, in terms of, yes, that's the case. Derek, you got to win this for us. Like, is that possible, or does it even matter because of the fact that the offensive line is not that good, even if you're up against a bad defense? If you say to him, Derek, we're giving you the ball 25 times, just win the game for us. Can he do that?
Well, he can only do that to the extent that the defense allows him to based on the looks that they present. But having a relationship with Al Golden, knowing him well, that was my defensive coordinator in college, he ain't gonna let the Baltimore Ravens just run the ball down the throat. He'll put as many men at the line of scrimmage as he needs to in order to slow down Derrick Henry in that running game. But that's where the passing game has to come alive, and specifically the guys on the outside for the Baltimore Ravens have got to be able to consistently beat man coverage. Can you beat man coverage? Can you beat one-on-ones? Even if the Cincinnati Bengals are coming out in cover 3 or coming out in zones, at some point zone becomes man late in the down. Can you win those matchups? That's what the NFL is all about. Can you win your one-on-one matchups? So Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, all those guys, can you win your one-on-one matchups in the passing game? Because if you can't, it's going to be a long day for that Baltimore Ravens offense.
All right, coming up. We have 2 more games today, obviously. One of them is with America's team against a team that everyone in America has an opinion about. We will get to that after Smalls has this with news around ESPN Bet becoming the Score Bet.
ESPN Bet.